All right, and we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reiterate what we talked about, segment one, talked a little bit about our Monday Night Raw review. It was a very good Monday Night Raw. If you haven't watched it yet, I suggest you do so. Next we have to look forward to our segment two. We're going to talk about WWE and NXT. But before we do that, of course, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link. We get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, gets put on top so we can talk about it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just put your questions up on top so we can talk. It's nice to, have a nice little back and forth conversation. Although this is the Wrestling Laureate podcast, this is our show. This is our show. Like I cannot, I want to connect with the viewers. I want to see what you guys have to say about wrestling because something that you gotta love about wrestling is no matter who you talk to, there's always different narratives that people come up with, and it's very interesting. It actually compels a pretty amazing conversation. So once again, really helps the show. Leave a positive feedback, peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC Sports Network, and also, just remember the link is the GSMC podcast.net. Yeah, go ahead and use that if you want to talk to me. Talk to me. It's like Randy Orton. Susan, my. No, I'm just kidding. That was a bad impression. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, next we have our WWE NXT preview. Just to kind of, you have Trick Williams fighting for his life in a steel cage match against Carmelo Hayes. It's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be a great match. It's right now on the West Coast, it's 8 o'clock, and we're going toward 8:30. So obviously, I'm gonna watch it as soon as I get done with this podcast, and like probably give you guys a live reaction of what happened. So check out my YouTube shorts. But Should be an interesting match. Ilya Dragunov told Trick Williams that he's basically going to have to run through the gauntlet, and if he can't make it, and he's going to fight Dragunov for a chance at the WWE NXT Championship, and if he loses, he has to leave NXT. So I don't know that kind of sucks for Whoop That Trick. Next, you have the authors in pain in action tonight. You had Testament come back and attack. Frazier and Axiom. So, it should be interesting to see when it comes, when push comes to shove in terms of the match tonight. So you can probably expect AOP to pick up the win, kind of gain a little bit of momentum, and ultimately regaining those WWE NXT Tag Team titles. But that's just in my opinion. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Next, you have Ridge Holland in action. He's going to fight one of the guys from the LWO. I think it's Wild. I think he's going to fight Wild. They had a little backstage stunt where he accidentally hit him or closed the door in his hand, and it was just like, Rich Holland, like he looked beside himself. He was like, "Oh my God!" Like that was the worst thing that could possibly happen. Oh no, my hand! I think I broke it. No, I'm just kidding. But Rich Holland's going to be in action, which is kind of cool because this just confirms that his whole promo with having problems with his family isn't real. But so that's good. That's good. I hope there's no real family problems within any wrestler's, life. So I don't know, yeah, man. WWE kayfabe right there. Playing to the hero. I like that. I like that a lot. Next we have Lola Vice against Soruka. Soruka is a rising star in the WWE NXT Women's Division. Wouldn't surprise me if she gets drafted. Honestly, not it wouldn't surprise me if she went to SmackDown or Raw to compete for the title. Especially like who knows what's gonna happen next Monday night when they crown the new world's women's champion. I know there's a lot of speculation that Alexa Bliss might come back and Uncle Howdy and stuff like that. But honestly, Soruka, she's very talented and she can very much she can insert herself into that title picture anytime, anywhere. So, good for her. Next, we have Thea Hale. Thea Hale is going to fight Tatum Paxley. Recently on WWE NXT, Paxley attacked Valkyrie, kind of like her friend, but not her friend. So you can probably expect the same where Valkyrie will come out and probably attack, Tatum Paxley. And kind of start like a nice little legitimate, like a Carmelo Hayes and the Trick Williams, kind of feud there, where I was always there for you and you never acknowledged me or you put me down. I was losing you. You were once nice and now you're gone and now you're mean and now you're throwing me against the steps on WWE NXT where I was trying to challenge to get my title back. Why, Tatum? Why? I'm just kidding. But I can imagine, Valkyrie being very, very upset, and Lord only knows what's gonna happen. Next, you have Tony D'Angelo addressing the WWE NXT universe. I think he's kind of use this as an excuse to kind of say goodbye. Say goodbye. I think the family is going to wind up on WWE Raw or WWE SmackDown. So I think it should be interesting. Usually where D'Angelo, usually wherever the Don goes, attention follows. Definitely. Some viewers, you can't really, lose yourself on that grip. But Tony D'Angelo, he's the man. He's going to be the man. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to be the next one to challenge, like maybe like a Logan Paul or Sami Zayn, or hell, maybe he finds a way to fight, Damian Priest. Who knows? Who knows? Um, next, we're just going to talk about a little bit about NXT. NXT is going to be able to draft this WWE draft season, which is, I don't think that's ever happened before. I think maybe they've kind of like pinned some superstars over to NXT, but it was never really like NXT selects, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. But obviously, you've seen superstars from the main roster. Raw or SmackDown, like the Final Testament, Ivar, Natalia, Chelsea Green, kind of referencing or being at a WWE NXT um, event. So honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they draft those four superstars. And I don't know, it just kind of makes you think that I think that they are planning to make WWE NXT more than it actually already is. It could be bad, but it could not be bad. They just got to do it right. WWE Creative, Paul Levesque, they got to do it right. They got to do it right. They want to establish that they're not just a developmental brand anymore. NXT will be a third brand, kind of like your Monday Night Raw, kind of like your WWE SmackDown. Usually, the Monday Night Raw is like kind of that edgy, like kind of raunchy, kind of like anything can happen. And SmackDown is like that family show, whereas WWE NXT can kind of be like a developmental, bring people from the independent wrestling circuit, like people like MJF, kind of thing would be pretty cool. But only time will tell. Who knows? Um, of course, this is leading toward the pay-per-view spring breaking for the NXT coming up, and it's crazy to see the WWE NXT kind of going toward the CW. Like the CW is, their broadcast television don't necessarily need. Back in my day, and I know I'm gonna age myself here, we had the little box. We had the box, or we had the bunny ears, and we had that TV with the big thing attached to the back, where you can access channels like two, three. Channel 3 was usually like the local channels. Obviously, you have NBC4, Channel 5. It's just Channel 8, I think, was the Chicago channel where you would see reruns of Friends over and over again. But anyways, it's gonna be pretty awesome. It's gonna be pretty awesome to see what how NXT kind of steps up being on broadcast television. But it's a 5-year agreement. It's a 5-year deal that's gonna start October 24th. So mark your calendars. So you can anticipate a lot of top superstars from the WWE kind of landing toward NXT during this draft, simply because they need the attention. They need a big superstar, kind of like how Cody Rhodes is with Raw, kind of like how, well, I don't know how long Roman's going to be out, like how Roman Reigns was for SmackDown. I think going to be on the CW, they're going to have to draft a pretty big name. They're going to have to draft a pretty big name. And to be honest, I see CM Punk going to WWE NXT. Like, why not? He spent a lot of time back there. He spent a lot of time with development with the superstars who are developing. And sources say that he loves being over in NXT. It wouldn't surprise me if they draft CM Punk, where they can take that Drew McIntyre CM Punk kind of like feud and kind of be that as like the main anchor to like kind of hold that the CW, kind of keep people on the edge of their seats, so to speak. Kind of like that Austin and The Rock feud that went on for just generations, not generations, that went on for years. And us as wrestling fans, kind of, we ate it up, which is, pretty darn cool. So that could possibly be happening. Also, you can have the new bloodline. Maybe the new bloodline will be drafted to NXT, like owning, like obviously Solo Sikoa in the realm of SmackDown and Raw hasn't really proved himself as much of a dominant wrestler at all, especially on the main card. But honestly, the moment that Solo Sikoa will go down to WWE NXT, he will be the main card. He will be the main event. He will be the tribal chief. If Paul Heyman stays with him, that's a whole nother thing by itself. But you can see like a bloodline of Solo Sikoa taking Tama Tonga and his cousin I think it's Jacob Fatu who signed with WWE and kind of have his own little bloodline over there in WWE NXT and eventually winning himself the WWE NXT championship. So, yeah, that could also happen as well. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people, there's a lot of skepticism around it. There's a lot of criticism saying that I don't know, the WWE NXT has always been kind of developmental, and that's why people love it. That's why audience member likes. That's why they like to watch it. So why don't fix something if it ain't broken? So you have these young guys coming up through the NXT developmental process. So they're obviously out there like busting their ass. You know, I don't necessarily agree with this notion, but I don't necessarily disagree because I'm kind of in the middle where it comes, when it comes to WWE NXT being its own entity. Because they have tried it in the past where they tried to get something, and it's just I don't know. Like I said, if this is the work, it's it has to be done right. It has to be done well, and because NXT, well, morely like during the Vince McMahon era and what Vince kind of made NXT, it kind of seemed like people who went to NXT it was kind of like a step down. It was a step down to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, where you would where you would see main carders like go down to the WWE NXT. Like, and you got to think about it, from another perspective. Who besides Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and excluding the women's division right now? Well, not honestly. Let's absorb the women's division. Like, who else besides Becky Lynch, Bayley, Charlotte, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins? Who else has kind of made a name out of themselves coming out from NXT? You know, who has made a name? Like, you got to think about names like like Keith Lee didn't really make it, ended up leaving. You had guys like Aleister Black didn't make it, left the company. The Undisputed Era, Adam Cole didn't really make it on the main roster. Guess what? He went to another company. And then you have Samoa Joe, went to another company. Finn Balor, he's on the main card, but he's losing to people like Jey Uso. And you also have Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura lost to that young guy on WWE NXT, and it's like, whoa, like what's absolutely happening right now? Like, why? Why would you like tease the fact that WWE NXT superstars could make it up to Raw and SmackDown and kind of be divvied out and transferred to each other if in the past that wasn't really the case? And I think that's the reason why they're getting a lot of scrutiny here of trying to make WWE NXT his own entity. But only time will tell. Then also you have Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens as well. Shayna Baszler, Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks wasn't happy with the WWE creative, ended up leaving and going to New Japan Wrestling and eventually winding up in AEW as the CEO. So honestly, there's just a lot of stuff that could I don't know, a lot of stuff that could just go wrong here in this WWE NXT, kind of draft thing. But I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff that could happen. There's a lot of maybe it could come out to be super, super cool. We don't know that. But I don't know. And it just makes you think that will there be kind of like another developmental, you had WWE NXT kind of level up here, but it wasn't necessarily kind of like the biggest deal, like you know what I mean? But to be honest, I think WWE NXT can kind of hold in, on its own. Like looking at the picture, you see Tommaso Ciampa, you see, Johnny Gargano, Velveteen Dream, Pete Dunne, like Ricochet. You don't see those guys on the main card anymore. Like Zoe Starks, and look at what they did with Grayson Waller, the Grayson Waller effect, and now he's a tag team champion with Austin Theory, which Austin Theory is another failed attempt by Vince McMahon. He was the last guy that Vince McMahon picked, and Paul Levesque was like, you know what? Let's put this guy in the tag team division. No, I'm just kidding. But not taking anything away from Austin Theory at all. But honestly, I don't know. You have WWE NXT taking place in Orlando at Full Sail University, and there's just not that many spots. I don't know if they're gonna start selling like WWE live events like Raw and SmackDown. But if you're gonna do that, you have to realize what comes with that, like ticket sales, merchandise, marketing, and everything. Everything above. Like you kind of have to focus on that. You kind of have to make WWE NXT its own brand, and with that comes a lot of work. A lot of people were able to just like kind of go to like an NXT like nonchalant and be like, oh, it's kind of cool. But now they're gonna definitely jack up the ticket sales. Are they gonna lose audience members? Maybe. And then you have this draft coming up, where you can lose guys that you love to see, like Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, and just a lot of talent over there. And honestly, like I said, if it's done the right way, I think it can definitely happen. But if it ends up bad, where where it looks like trash and not a lot of people show up, kind of like in AEW, I don't know. It's devastating. It's devastating for the organization, and not just devastating for the organization. It's devastating for those NXT stars who have, busted their ass to like make NXT the way it is right now, like dragging off Tony D'Angelo and also, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. To be honest, if I'm one of those guys, honestly, I kind of wouldn't want, WWE and NXT to kind of be its own entity. But that's just me. I could be a hater. Obviously, if you think differently, leave a, comment in the chat. We can talk about it. But yeah. All right, moving forward, our next segment, we're going to talk about Rhea Ripley vacating her championship title. So, hey, don't go anywhere.